She is like the unironic Aubrey Plaza in Parks and Rec. Why do
I'm good.
conservatives
How are
keep
you?
agreeing to go on
I'm good.
H3H3? Because I'm not
Thank
like
you
an
for calling
H3H3
in.
simp, but I
Obviously, I
feel like
saw
they
your
almost
tweet.
always look dumb.
Is this a trap or a good faith
Because
conversation?
I feel like he's on the
It's
same
not.
Yeah,
like head level
I
as
wasn't
like
sure which.
dumbasses.
Well,
No
Yeah.
yeah, I
offense.
think this is a good faith conversation. I mean, what would you consider to be a trap?
It's kind of like when you walk into an
Oh, there's
interview
hair in my
and
face.
it's like they're not trying to have a conversation. They're just trying to like paint you out to be a certain way, I would
Okay,
Well,
say.
that's definitely what
sure.
he's gonna
That would be like
do,
a bad faith when they go
as
in
he
there with an
should.
agenda and they're not really open
Okay, I want to
to.
hear about
Sure, a
divorce.
lot do, but I kind of want to just introduce you. You've become really successful the past year or two. Kind of, you're friends with Fresh and Fit, right? Those guys are your dogs, so to
Mhm.
speak, and you kind of are sympathetic to their kind of views.
I
So
never
let me
understood
just
Fresh
ask you
and
generally,
Fit.
like,
I really
what
don't
kind
get
of
it.
messages are you sharing on your platform? What kind of important messages is it that you find yourself are about?
Oh, her message is beautiful. Great
I believe
question.
in family, so I think that we should have policies that push family. I think that
Yeah,
feminism overall was a bad thing. I think women are happier when we have, a family and kids over a
hierarchy.
career in the long run.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I'm a little nervous.
It's
I'm a
okay.
little
Yeah,
She
I
should be.
understand. So, how do you push a policy that promotes family? Like, in what way
Force
can you
pregnancy.
force
I don't know.
a family to stay together or encourage it in a sense?
Well, I think you first have to get rid of incentives that incentivize like women to leave families. So, like, for example, child support, alimony, I'm not really a fan of those.
Child
I think
support.
the things
So if a
I would say the things that encourage a woman to leave a they don't leave a family, to leave a guy is probably abuse and unhappiness. But yeah, if she doesn't want women receiving child support or an alimony, you probably want women to make more money. So that's actually feminist and base. So
if there's a divorce, let's
Oh,
say that
actually, I think we should ban divorce too. Yeah, I think that should be banned.
what?
Yes.
Why?
okay, well that's a little bit silly. You have to
That is
acknowledge
silly.
that, right?
What do you mean?
No.
So banning divorce means that
No.
when you decide to get married,
Why'd you say it like that?
you are not allowed by the government to leave
Yeah,
your
once you're
significant
married, you're
other in
stuck.
any situation.
Yeah. I just think that if you want to leave, you just shouldn't get married. So that's just my opinion.
Right, but like
What?
in the real world, that kind
Like,
of
sometimes-
And
simplistic.
there's
Things
there's
change,
like
people
exceptions
change.
to this, but I would just say in
Bruh.
general, for most cases, we
Oh
could talk
my
about
God.
exceptions, but like the rule.
Well, the
Divorce-
exceptions are the important part because I've heard you say that a lot when you're talking about things. You say, "Oh, you want to talk about exceptions," but the exceptions is the important part because those are the people that are going to be affected. I mean, exceptions are going to be a large part of divorces, as you say. I mean, you're talking about like 25% maybe or more because
What
if
about
you're
the like
saying you're not allowed to
abuse,
get
like
divorced, so we're talking
in the
about like
real world? Yeah, in the real world, relationships are more complicated than marriage being end all be all. Like, yeah, in the real world, because that is not a real world fucking take. Like, that is a happily ever after marriage take.
what if the relationship is physically abusive?
Yeah, I think if it's physically, this is the problem though.
What problem? Problem? What do you mean? What? Why'd Oh my God. That was the Holy Spirit leaving my body.
If it's one-sided physically abusive, okay,
One-sided.
divorce. We can allow divorce for those exceptions, but
Okay.
like I've even talked to people that work at like abuse centers, and they say that
Does that mean like you have to prove like that you're being abused to get divorced? Like, be for real.
majority of abuse is mutual, so it's not just one side.
No, it's not.
It's like mutual. So
Surely
That's not how abuse
everyone.
works.
yeah, I know. I
But
didn't
it's
say it
not
was-
healthy.
That's
either.
toxic. That's not.
I just think that the
That's-
goal should be
no.
to keep families together, and that the goal should be to work through it.
I think most people agree with that, right? Because I think we all can look at the stats and
I mean, I'm personally of the opinion that like for any type of breakup, divorce, whatever, you don't necessarily need a reason. Sometimes you break up, and that's just how people are. Sometimes people have bad reasons to break up. Sometimes it's really shallow, but if you're unhappy, break up. Sorry. I'm of that opinion. I'm of the opinion that you don't need to have like an extreme justification to break up with someone. Unhappiness is literally enough. That's just how those things work.
Say family is important, right? Family is important. Nuclear families is important to like the health of children
I'm
growing
of the
up
same
in general. I
opinion
think
for
we can all say that.
marriage being treated the same
But
as
when
a
you say something
relationship.
like
It's just you got more legal
divorce should be
ties and it's more of a
illegal,
process.
Yeah.
we got to kind of suss that out because that's a pretty extreme claim.
Like, and a lot of people don't know this, that family court is actually based off, it's not based off of evidence, it's based off a balance of probabilities. And there are incentive programs that,
I mean, what is probability based on? Statistics of how likely a thing happened. Because a lot of the times, it's really hard with like stuff like abuse. My parents getting divorced could be bad for the child, but why should they have to stay together? Sorry, like, my parents got divorced and it sucked, but like, my parents were clearly unhappy. They figured out an agreement. It was 50-50. That's what had to be done. I had no choice, and just, I mean, if you asked me that when I was a child, I would have rather them be unhappy and be together, but, you know, I'm happy that they didn't need to stay, because personally, if I was in an unhappy marriage, I would want my kid to, like, I don't know. It is bad, like, it sucks, but there can be, but there doesn't have to be. It can work out. You have to help out your child a little bit. That's on the parents. That's on the parenting side. You gotta help out your child a bit.
like in the UK, you get a free lawyer if you accuse your husband of abuse. And it's less than 10% of cases are actually like
Wait.
followed through with the police.
What? Is she dumb? In the US, you get a free lawyer if you can't pay for your own. That's literally like a constitutional law. Are you. What? Everyone is able to get a free lawyer, bro. They just might not be good.
So
Oh,
you're
okay.
saying that you do want to allow people to divorce, then you don't really believe that.
I would say ban divorce.
Okay, because you just said you would allow an exception in the case of abuse. Or and you
Okay,
ban
fine,
divorce.
fine.
Yeah.
Ban divorce except for one-sided abuse.
Okay,
Sure.
except for one-sided abuse. And is there going to be a system to kind of how do you prove that the woman or man
Well,
was on the
I think
yeah?
I think you have to press charges in criminal court, not family court.
So only if your significant other is tried criminally are you allowed to leave the relationship.
That's crazy.
Tried and found guilty criminally.
That's crazy.
Yes. Otherwise, you know,
You should be allowed to leave.
You know, which is fine if you don't, you know, want to be with someone forever. But I just say stay out of marriage. You
Right,
know,
but-
because when you take marriage is supposed to be, you know, for better or for worse. And
Well, not even just physical abuse. If it's abusive in any way from either side, whatever, you should not be in that relationship, married or not married. I don't care. That's not something someone should be forced to stay in. That's fucked up.
And the majority of divorces nowadays, it's just, you know, when the girl just feels like leaving.
That's not true.
So,
That's definitely
well,
definitely not.
you
It's
know,
just not true.
I've talked to hundreds of women.
Nothing more to
Abuse of
lose.
power and the risk for abuse and for people to get stuck in a horrible relationship situation, not just for them, but
Yeah,
their
people
kids,
care
right?
so much about
obviously,
marriage, like-
having your kids watch their mother.
Like, I don't know why these people think they are the professionals on happy relationships and being good parents, because I know that they definitely don't experience either of those things. I know that like conservative women are so unhappy, they probably never come. She's single, bruh. So she's just projecting. She's like, yeah, like once I find a man, I'm gonna marry him and he's gonna be trapped to me. Weirdo.
and oftentimes it's going to bleed.
Or the kids get watching their father get beat up. Like, it goes both ways.
I
my
acknowledge
God.
that it goes both ways. So both people have a right to.
It's almost like one of
in my
those
opinion,
happens
get
more than
divorced
the
because
other.
the alternative is one of the partners being stuck and like
do you think that's
potentially
the
a lethal
majority? Do you
situation.
think that's the majority of cases?
A majority of
Femicide
cases
is
of what?
really
Divorce?
Of
common.
divorce. Do you think the majority
25%.
is
25%.
What?
It's 25% based on statistics.
No, that's not what's in criminal court. It's like less than
What?
10%. It actually followed through in criminal court.
Well,
So you
regardless,
can't-
10%'s enough, don't you think?
Why do you think they don't follow through in criminal court? Because a lot of the times they probably feel guilty because this was someone that they loved and they don't want to get them in trouble, because probably in a lot of cases it's the father of their children. There's a lot of reasons you wouldn't Yeah, lack of evidence. There's a lot of reasons you wouldn't follow up. People are so bad to, especially female victims, like, that come forward with, like, abuse, like, all that stuff. It's just, yeah, that's how the system is. That's why they don't report in criminal court. So they just get a divorce so they can just leave because they're not going to get justice.
No, I said less than 10%.
It's
of
hard.
The abuse cases of the 25%. So that's like
Sometimes it's just worth
Journal of Family
stepping away
Violence in
more than it is to
2014
actually
found that
press
approximately
charges.
25% of divorces in the United
Unfortunately.
States involve domestic violence.
right, but again, that's because the woman says that she was because they're
Okay,
incentive.
but you're just
program.
saying stuff. You're just saying.
Yeah,
stuff.
she's
You
saying
don't
that they're
actually know that
lying.
to be true.
What percentage of that is lying? Like, is it like 1% of those cases are people lying? Because most of the time, people don't lie about that stuff. And you should not hit your partner even once at all. Never. I would count that as abuse. That's a perfect reason to split up.
I do like, okay, in the UK, there's a law that you get a free lawyer if you
How
get a
does
free
that?
lawyer.
Sorry, but how does that prove that women are lying about violence?
No, because I'm saying that you can't. Okay, you can't prove it unless they go to criminal court because criminal court is based off of evidence, where family court is based off of a balance of probability. So it means it's more likely that they did it than didn't do it. It's
Why
not
do you
innocent until proved.
Why do you think it's set up that way? When you're like having like civil settlements, it's to like find a compromise between people and like a solution. It's to find a solution. When you're in criminal court, the result's gonna be proof based because the person who has allegedly committed the crime is going to like get in trouble and is facing like punishment. In civil court, I don't think there's necessarily like punishment. There's like setbacks, but it's compromised and discussion based on conversations and assessing the situation. Like, it's different processes because it's different.
Right, but they're not going to jail. It's just to let the abused.
I mean, you
exactly.
could go to jail when you have a lifetime of not seeing your children. When the
You
whole
could.
community. I mean,
What?
I mean,
How often does that happen?
Men, it's like literally their whole community thinks they're an abuser. Now they get to see their kids maybe 3 days a month if they're lucky. A lot of them are put on,
sure,
a lot of them
course.
Comparing that to jail?
There's bad outcomes for sure, but
horrible.
on the whole,
I mean, a lot of men.
But what if like these people actually are abusive? I don't think they should see their kids. Being a parent is a privilege at the end of the day. It is a right, but in a way it's a privilege.
Like a lot of men commit suicide during.
I see. Oh, that's horrible, you know?
It's horrible. It's like absolutely terrible. Like I interview these men that are going through this.
Yeah, I'm sure
I
that
thought they
happened, but
committed
at the same
suicide.
time,
How
you're
do you
saying
interview
women are
them?
lying about violence, and I haven't seen you be able to prove
I'm
that.
I'm saying that you can't prove it unless you go to criminal court because family
but it's
court
not
is
a crime.
based off of evidence.
Right, but they're not going to jail.
not-
It's just about the welfare of the kids, and you know, what I mean, the people
It's
involved.
a crime if you're falsely accusing someone of abuse.
How often does that happen?
Okay,
In criminal court because
Why are
criminal court is
people
based off
clip
of evidence,
chimping
family court is
an
not.
abuse trial?
let's just
I guess
say
it's a
less than
defamation
10%.
trial.
I'll just
but
give you the benefit
still
of the doubt.
about abuse.
Still seems like enough
That's crazy.
to give people the.
I still can't believe I can't believe that was as like big of a thing as it was. It should not have been. No matter how you feel about that situation, there are forever going to be consequences of that being as public of a thing as it was. No matter how you feel about like who did what and who's like in the wrong. Like that being so public damaged so many people's brains and will forever set victims back.
People change, right? Especially when people get married young. People go through shit.
Also, if you talk to women who are just in like relationships and aren't married, they are not. They're doing whatever they can to hold on.
And one way after you get married. Wouldn't you prefer people get married than never get married? Like, I feel like you would be disturbed if like only 5% of couples ever got married.
Yeah, because if marriage was forever, like you were stuck, like why would you get married in the first place? I mean, I just want a wedding. I want a pretty dress, and I like want my day. I'm just like that. Yeah, no one get married if you were stuck in it. Ain't no way.
I'd rather people got married and stayed married.
Right, but that wasn't one of the options.
What?
I actually don't see a point in getting married with the way that marriage is today, to be honest.
What does that mean?
Yeah, because again, like
is marriage change?
So the average marriage is 8 years and you're done. That's not marriage.
That's a long time. Is the average marriage 8 years? I feel like what is the methodology of that one? Is that like, because I feel like there's got to be so many outliers in that statistic. You can't just put a number on the average marriage span. That just feels stupid. I'd rather see it broken down to brackets of like what percentage of marriages last like a certain length of time. Like why do you have just like an average? That's dumb. That's weird. That makes no sense. There's so many outliers in so many different situations that just like having one average is weird.
So let's say she doesn't want to charge her husband. She just wants to leave amicably, okay? But in your situation, she's forced to charge him legally to have
Which
a
creates
police
a whole
investigation, charge him for domestic violence.
process.
Wouldn't that be more damaging to his reputation?
Not if he beat the case, because again, it's based off of evidence. But
Wait, so her expectation is that like women are forced to do this, so they're like proven to be liars. That's so fucked up.
Why would you want an abusive guy walking free?
Yeah, there's so many
If he's actually
outliers
abusive, he
in
should go to
like
jail.
a statistic like that. You
Right.
Shouldn't
can't.
we agree on that?
You can't
Right,
find
but it's just not that simple.
average is not an
again, 'cause,
accurate
like
way.
it's just not that simple, and it's not that simple to convict people.
I just don't think that men should be punished without evidence, and I think in family court, it's not based off of evidence.
It's not
based on a
punishment
balance
though.
of probabilities, and so you have a case where
There's not
men only
punishment
like they're stuck
in
seeing their kid
divorce
like 3
court.
days a month. When again, it's not based off of evidence. Like
You ask why a mom wouldn't want to try a parent. It's more nuanced, right? I mean, you need a more.
I mean, just because like, yeah, I don't know, family court. It's just it's like it's a civil settlement. It's not punishment. It's a settlement. Like divorce and custody battles are settlements. It's not punishment. You don't get jail time. It's oh my god. They more often seek custody to women. Yeah, there's so many more factors. I mean, I'm not a law professional, but like there definitely is a difference between being charged with abuse and a divorce settlement. In a divorce settlement, it may suck, and there may be things that you don't like in it, but it's not a punishment. It's just a settlement. It's a compromise, if anything.
Very traumatic for
Just
the
how
kids
things
and the
get
family
worked
to
out.
put their father through a violence case, and especially when the kids are probably going to have to ask to testify, to talk to the police.
That's what I was
I
saying.
totally
They don't
understand
want
why mother or father wouldn't want to put their family through that, don't you?
Exactly.
I mean, I can understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. And I mean, according to national statistics on domestic violence, okay, there's 10 million men and women each year that are the victim of physical abuse.
That's
But
too
in your
many.
world, I have a feeling that a lot of these people would be trapped in these marriages, and that's okay.
It's so silly thinking that it's easy to leave a marriage, because there's like, even in cases of abuse, that it's like difficult to leave just even a relationship that's abusive. There's so many factors in an abusive relationship that even if you're not married, makes it hard to leave. Relationships are much more complicated than that, more often than not, especially from what I've seen, because personally I talk to other women. Women will do whatever they can, even if they're extremely unhappy, to justify staying in their relationship, even if it's bad in any type of way, even if they're upset, even if they're crying every day. I've been there. Leaving's not as easy as she thinks, because people have feelings. I don't know if she knows that. But a lot of times when you're in a relationship, you love them, and you have strong feeling, and you care about them, which makes it hard for you to let it go. And if you're being abused and manipulated, there's extra reasons why it's hard to escape that. So
Do you think what do you think is more harmful to kids, divorce or physical abuse?
I think that's so weird, because I feel like in the case with kids, when you're talking about abuse, it's definitely a better safe than sorry situation. Not saying that everything should be settled like that, but like if there's a chance that one of the parents is abusive, I don't know if I want kids in that situation, but that's just me. Most people I know with divorced parents have 50-50 custody, so I don't really know. I mean, I'm sure it does happen, like where there have been unfair things that happen just because like the court system's fucked up. I feel like 50-50 more often than not is the resolution.
Physical abuse.
Okay, you passed that one. Though you had to think about it for a second. But anyway, let's move on from this.
No, I just thought it was kind of a silly question. That was all.
Tell me, what does red pilled mean to you? Because I've heard you use that phrase a lot. You're part of the red pilled community.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of people, I will say, a lot of
Oh,
people have
brother.
their own definitions of it, so people use it for different things. But I would say it's viewing the world the way it's supposed to be, or like the way it is, not the way you're told it is. So,
The Matrix.
like, for example, a lot of guys think if they treat a girl nice and give her flowers, that, she'll essentially sleep with him. And then a lot of guys find.
What? I didn't realize she was gonna go that quick to like, yeah, if I'm nice to a woman, if I love bomb her, she'll fuck me. I thought that meant like if I like give flowers to a woman and I'm nice to her, she will date me. Like I thought that was gonna be a more wholesome thing, but she had to make it disgusting. Why do you make it disgusting?
Find out that's not true. And
Because a lot of people don't want to just fuck you just
Is that true?
because.
Do men really believe that?
If someone was nice to me and gave me flowers, I'd go on a date with them and give them a chance, but I wouldn't immediately pull my pants down. That's whack. That's so, like, entitled to be like, but I gave you this and I was nice to you and you're not having sex. Like, I just hate that. It's so weird.
That if you buy flowers and be nice, she'll sleep with you?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think that's real. I think that's like a really odd way to describe
Block
dating.
of
It's just like
cheese,
men are nice
man.
guys and women
If
are.
the vibe was right, it would depend on the vibe.
Like we're talking
I
about
But I
real
do like
world
cheese.
stuff, and it's just you can't.
If it was cheddar
Men
jack,
don't really.
yeah, the pants are off.
Men don't expect like women to reproduce more with felons than non-felons.
Women reproduce more with felons
Mm-hmm.
than
Violent felons.
non-felons.
I mean, like think about it. Like Ted
wait,
Bundy.
hold on. Well, yeah, what does that mean? So felons who are procreating have more kids in general than non-felons. What does that stat mean? So
I don't remember if it's violent felons versus non-violent felons, but I just remember violent felons have more children than non-violent felons.
and so there's men who are looking at that and they're pissed.
No, not
Because I've
pissed.
never
I
heard
think
that stat in my
surprised.
life.
No, I think
may
just
fascinate-
surprised.
Real. Oh my
I've
god,
never heard
real.
that stat.
You may fascinate a woman by giving her a piece of cheese. Real. That's so me. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know what she's on
Is
about.
there a source for that? It just seems kind of an odd stat. Like, what does it prove?
What is that? Yeah, what is that
Felons
proving?
have more kids than non-felons.
That just means.
Well, I think the reasoning is because women want a guy that can like protect her, basically.
A felon?
What?
Yeah.
That's a weird.
Why would you feel
Ted Bundy had,
protected by a felon?
love letters?
The fuck?
Oh well, that's a whole different weird phenomenon about women being.
That's not the
interested-
majority of cases, though. What the
women,
fuck?
but all
That's
serial
the point.
killers.
That's surprising.
Right,
But that's not a
surprising, but I don't think it's any
majority.
Interesting commentary on the dating scene that serial killers
That's
get
not like a common
love
thing. That's
letters
like a
from
phenomenon
freaks,
with
you know what I
like
mean? Richard Ramirez
well,
did too.
a
All
small
serial
amount of
killers do.
women.
So I
Yeah,
don't-
but the point is, it's one like it's not the same for women. It's just men.
does
I can't
having
say
more
I could
kids-
name a felon that I know in
a
real
guy
life
that's
right
a
now.
violent felon.
So
You don't think? Okay.
my options to have children with a felon are pretty low.
Just a
So,
one-timer.
so Casey Anthony murdered her daughter, and she was getting love letters too. She got letters proposing marriage. Don't you find that surprising?
Nah, men could do that. It's
is
made up.
surprising.
So in a sense, it's not. It goes both ways, kind of when you look at it holistically.
No, I think it's more so for women pick violent men more than men pick violent women.
Based on what?
It's almost like there's more violent
Um,
men in the world. But
I
also,
think you could just. I would just say
violent men are such
I
an
would
icky.
I would guess that it's more common with women
Because more men are
of that
violent.
study versus like a fringe case. I would be surprised if
Oh my god,
women
it's
got
almost
the
like
same amount of letters. But
men
it
do
could be-
more of
could
the
be wrong.
violent
Surprised,
shit.
But do you feel that sometimes you argue from emotion rather than like concrete facts? I find that when you talk about, and I've watched a lot of your videos, you say stuff that I don't think has much of a backing in reality. It's based on feelings, maybe instead of not emotions, but feelings. You say, I feel this to be true. Do you feel you do that a lot or no?
Yeah, what woman? She definitely is.
I
Oh my
try-
god, she's most definitely the girl that's like that bitch in high school who's like, yeah, I only really hang out with guys. I only really have guy friends because girls are all drama. And then they're just like misogynist and they're the drama. Like, that's literally Pearl. Like, baby pick me. Like, I've met grown women who say that shit and it's so annoying. I'm like, it's just like such a way to expose yourself for not being able to have like a positive relationship with another woman. A majority of my friends are women, but I do have quite a lot of male friends, and I can't say like that any one is gender is more dramatic than the other. Like, I really don't give a fuck. If anything, I feel like all the guy friends I've had are more dramas, but I'm not gonna get into that conversation. It's just like so like self-hating and so just like denying yourself of like the beautiful connection of a woman to woman friendship. So sad. I'm so sorry you're missing out on that.
I would say I am a woman, so sometimes, yeah.
So why should I engage with in a conversation with you at all if women are just emotional? Shouldn't I be talking to a man about this?
Probably.
Why do you bother to even have a platform? Shouldn't you just concede to a man?
What?
Yeah, probably. You know.
So we got to look
So
for a
yeah,
man
you
to
shouldn't
replace
talk to
you.
me. I make no sense. I'm a rational woman.
No, not really.
You don't think? Okay.
Women are not more emotional because the person who had the most intense emotions after watching Across the Spider-Verse yesterday was the man that went with us. Actually, there were two men, but the man, the straight one, the gym rat, I call him, Ben. Yeah, Ben. We know Ben. I don't think she's on drugs. I think she's just like this.
But it's fine too. We can move on. If I'll give you a minute, but we don't have to get stuck on it.
Why is she quiet? We can't harass, cannot find
It's
it.
fine. I mean, we can. It's fine. We can move on.
I found it.
Oh, go ahead. Okay, perfect.
Oh, there we go.
The link, he pulls up the study in this stream, so the link is on here.
Whose stream is it?
It's Rolo's stream.
Rolo Tony
Brown.
Yeah. He's great, actually.
Wait.
He seems like a nice guy.
Wait. So
Yeah,
this is a statistic for how long marriages last before divorce. I don't think this takes into account successful marriages. So like people who like die together are not counted. And this is the first marriage that ends in divorce. So this isn't how long marriages last. This is how long marriages, just the ones that end in divorce, last. Which is a pretty long time, if that's it. Like, that's the average. I knew there was something fishy about that.
It's like 7 months ago. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We'll look into it. So if women are so emotional, do you think
we'll look into it
in terms of an argument to argue from feelings?
This is crazy.
And to present feelings.
I love girl chuds. Like, they're just like so special. How much do you hate yourself? Like, for real? Like, oh my god. Like, look out for yourself a little bit.
Do you think that's a bad faith way to argue or no?
No, I was kind of kidding. I was like,
what
joking.
were you kidding about?
What?
When, I don't know, whatever you were asking me earlier, you were like, do you, I don't even
she
remember.
Just
you said
tells so many
like,
funny jokes. She can't remember them.
Or like,
well, right. Yeah. Oh, I asked and you said, well, I'm a woman. Of course, I'm going to. I asked you, do you feel that you make arguments based on feeling? And you said, yes, I do, because I'm a woman.
Oh, yeah, I was kidding. No, I use facts to back up my arguments. Sometimes I'd say I'm wrong. Sometimes I think something and it's not correct. But I would say most of my opinions, I try to at least have a basis of fact. Yes. Some things you just see in reality, right? I mean, like, sometimes you're gonna.
Yeah, have you seen the people you surround yourself with? Of course, you're seeing the most terrible women in your reality. Because you are terrible and you surround yourself with terrible people.
Yeah, I mean, you
create your own reality.
Like some things you just learn from interviewing hundreds of people. You see patterns.
You interviewing specific people with specific experiences.
That's what I'm saying.
Going to run into a bias.
No, I don't think so. Because we do street interviews all the time too. So that's like random people on the street.
Where are you doing street interviews?
Okay, fair enough. So so there's the red-pilled, which are people who see the world for what it is. And then you have blue-pilled people, which I'm assuming is someone like me. But what does blue-pilled mean?
People that see the world for how they'd like it to be, I guess. But I don't talk much about, I guess, like blue pill, but yeah.
That's crazy. She's literally just like, yeah, I don't understand the metaphor of red pill, blue pill. Like, I mean, to truly understand the red pill, you kind of gotta understand what the blue pill does too. Like, you can't be like red pill, red pill, red pill, and not understand what the blue pill would have done.
Okay, fair enough. We don't have to focus in on that. I've noticed
No,
that
it is about
one of the
being
primary
trans, but
focuses of your content is kind of the
it's about
problems
opening your eyes,
facing
and the other one
men
leaving you
and how
oblivious.
there's so much unfair societal pressures or norms or expectations on men. Why is it that you're so singularly focused on the troubles of men?
I think it's unfortunate what happens to men in divorce court. So that's probably what I talk about the most. Is I think that men should have access to their children.
That's not what you talk about the most. You definitely talk about stuff like pay gap myth. You talk about men want younger girls. You talk about men are just doing what's in their nature. You talk about women who have higher body count are less desirable. I haven't. I'll be honest. I've watched a lot of your stuff, and the vast majority is not about divorce court. It's about this kind of like dating coach stuff.
What is my interest? I don't know. I just thought it was interesting, so that's what we talk about.
What?
So what is you say
That
you're
can't be it.
anti-feminism? Feminism was basically a mistake. So what is your problem with feminism? Let's start there. That's a good point, right?
I think that feminism wants equality when it benefits us and not actual equality.
What?
And are you going back to the beginning of feminism? Like the whole history?
Wait, that's crazy. What does she think, like, social justice is? Like, literally every social movement is, like, trying to bring a marginalized group to the same benefits as the not marginalized groups. That is the point. What setbacks of feminism is she talking about? I don't know.
History of feminism, like women's suffrage and everything?
Yeah, no, I don't.
You don't fuck with women's suffrage?
No.
You don't think women should get the right to vote?
Man.
No, I don't.
Are you
Oh my
serious
God,
or are you
she
kidding?
No, I'm serious.
Okay, so women shouldn't have the right to vote.
Yeah.
Why?
No. Because men are signed up for selective service, so they're fined $300,000 if they don't sign up for selective service when they're 18.
Do you think women should be drafted into the army?
I think if we want the same rights, it comes with the same responsibilities.
Do you think women should be drafted into the army?
No. If we are going to vote,
I'm so sick of people bringing up the draft. This was the last time someone was drafted into the army. 1973, bruh. And you're still bringing it up as, like, men being oppressed for having to register for the draft. Come on.
Which is that
is a complete non-issue
men
as
are
of right now.
put into selective service and women are not. And if I had to pick between the two, then I would give up the right to vote instead of sign up for selective service.
That's crazy.
Women should only get the right to vote.
She doesn't even like the
sign up for selective
racist kind
service,
of
but at the
feminism.
same time, you're saying
I
women
thought she was
should
gonna
not
at least
serve
like
in the
that kind, but
military.
no.
So
She doesn't
in
even
your
like that
world,
kind.
Women are just going to be disenfranchised because they're not going to be able to sign. They shouldn't serve in the military because they're not as good fighters, right?
No, I'm saying
there's enough poor people to not need a draft.
It's fine. Sign up for selective service if I had to pick.
It's a non-issue.
So I would give that up.
You think women should be given the choice if they want to do selective service or not?
Oh no, I'm saying she's so misogynist, and also no, I believe she's gonna get racist, but I'm saying she's so misogynist that she doesn't even like the racist kind of feminism. Cause like there's a lot of like anti-feminists who are like, yeah, I like the original like suffrage, like the original feminism, and I'm like, oh, so you like when it was racist, got it. But she doesn't even like that one. I'm expecting her to get there. I absolutely would not put it past her.
I think if we're going to vote, we should have no choice like the men do.
Because obviously, I think it's safe to say women in general want the right to vote, right?
Yes.
And so then, by your logic, women need to be entered into selective service. But you don't think that should happen, or you think that's okay?
Yeah, I'd rather not.
Not you. I mean, in general, the women, because women want to vote. So how do we resolve this issue? Wait, what does that mean?
If we're gonna vote, I think that we should have the same responsibility as the men and be enlisted in selective service.
Okay.
So that's my opinion.
So you're saying women should also have to sign up for selective service when they turn 18, like men.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone should be drafted personally. That's why I always hate this conversation. But like, I guess like if men are registering for the draft, I do believe that if that's the case, then women should too. But like, don't think that anyone should be drafted.
Do you think having women in the army would weaken our military?
That's a good question. That's awesome.
Probably don't draft women into the army.
Yeah, but then take away the vote with it.
But
That's
you're not
why.
giving that doesn't seem very fair. You see what I'm saying?
That's so dumb.
say,
like,
well,
what
you
does
guys are
voting and
weaker.
military
You guys
have
are
to
gonna
do with each
weaken our
other?
military.
It's not like everyone who's in the military is like guns blazing, killing and fighting. There's medics, there's people who literally working in like an office. Up, 2, 3, 4. Like, that's such like a Hollywood idea of like what happens. So like that's so dumb. That's so dumb.
But because you're not in the military, you don't get the
like
right
women
vote.
have been
It's
drafted
22,
as
you know what I mean?
nurses for wars for
So what do we do about that?
however long.
Well, I'll tell you what I think we should do.
Go ahead.
I just think that you have to have some skin in the game. And so it's like if we're voting for a commander in chief, right? That's the person that decides if we go to war or we don't go to war. And so it's easy to,
No.
you know, again.
Actually, I mean, as of recently, yeah, kind of. But does she know constitutionally who is permitted to declare war? Because it's not the president. It is Congress. That's been like kind of a fading thing. On paper, no, it's not him who decides that.
But your logic doesn't even make sense. I mean, you're talking about, first of all, there hasn't been a draft in the United States in 50 years, right? So if there was a draft, maybe we could have this conversation, but it just seems
so
kind of silly.
dumb.
In 50 years, there hasn't been a mandatory
dumb
draft.
issue to compare
It just
to
hasn't
voting.
happened.
It is not even close.
So why is it a big
similar to
deal, I
voting.
guess, about the selective service? There's not going to be another draft. You know what I mean? There's enough people in the army. I don't think that there's going to be a draft.
I just think it's again like women want all the rights without the
What other
responsibility.
ones?
If you don't think
in other countries, especially with America's besties,
equally do what the men
both
do.
men and women
Let
are
them
forced to serve.
$3,000
But they
if
don't
they're
have the
sign up for
option.
Everyone
They don't
is.
even have the option right now.
I guess not every country
Right, so give them the
includes
option.
women in that,
Okay,
but a
let's
lot,
give 'em the
some
option.
do.
Make it equal.
I'm forced to
I don't know what all
serve.
women want.
So then why are you saying things that are generalized all women?
I'm saying no. Okay, because I'm looking at the
Forced to
policies that have been
serve.
pushed. And I'm saying where are the feminists fighting for equality in this situation? Like when
Because
Yeah,
no one
I mean,
cares
again,
about
it's
this
not that
issue.
relevant, but also
It's not relevant. No one
kind
cares
of
about this
a
issue.
byproduct of patriarchy. Is that possible that it's
I think it's more like anti-feminists who like don't want women in the military. Like I feel like they talk about it way more than feminists do.
I mean, 50 years isn't that long of. I mean, who's to say? You don't know.
What?
But okay.
50 years. I mean, the last mandatory draft was like during
men are
Vietnam.
Vietnam. That's right at the end.
Do you not think it should be equal?
No, I think what you're saying is fair, but it's not making any sense.
Okay.
I think everyone should sign up for it. And there's other ways that people can support the military other than being on the front line, right? So, what other rights do women want? You know what I mean? That are contradictory.
What benefits do feminists want that?
Okay,
men
women
don't
want
have?
the right to not be a mother, but men don't have the right to not be a father.
Wait,
So
whoa. What? Is she saying that, like, because women get the choice of whether to carry out a pregnancy or not? If a man got me pregnant and I didn't want to be pregnant, and then a guy was like, no, you're keeping it, I'd be like, hell fucking no, I'm not. Or, like, men being obligated to be fathers if they didn't wrap their shit up. Like, sorry, like, that's just how it is, just because of like how grueling pregnancy is on the female body. That's
like in the UK, abortion's free up to 6 months, but a man can't opt out of child support. So it's like, why does he have the right to not be a father, but women don't? Or why do women have the right to not be mothers, but men don't have the right to not be fathers? I don't think that's fair or
just
equal.
wrap their shit
Sorry,
up.
just to go back for a sec. So feminists actually do they want the draft abolished.
I
So
want
their
the
point
draft
is,
abolished.
let's not
Yeah.
sign up for the service. Let's abolish the draft altogether.
Yeah.
So they are They are fighting for equality.
Yeah.
They are against the draft. There should be no draft. So
Yes.
men and women shouldn't be drafted. That is also equality, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay.
I haven't seen you talk to an actual scholar once. You just talk to kind of random women,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, that's fair to say, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you say you talk to feminists, you just mean like random women off the street. not like a scholar.
That's say they're feminists.
But it's
Nah,
feminism
it doesn't
is, it's like
count.
a,
that
it's
was
like a,
painful. That was
It
so
doesn't count.
painful.
well,
That was
you
so
said you
painful.
know
That
what,
was
you
so
said you know what
painful.
feminists believe because you talk to a lot of feminists. But I'm talking about like,
No, I said I've never heard them bring it up.
do you have any
Yeah.
interest in talking to feminist scholars who are more aware with like kind of what feminism?
Yeah, I actually, yeah.
I think
If you
that
know
would be
anything,
good.
send them to the UK.
But they're in the UK.
No, I actually tried for some, but then they'll be like, "You're a hateful woman." Da 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 da. There's one. There's one that's I can't even remember. Some
Yeah, I don't know
blonde
how he
chick
does
out
it. He
here.
just makes it so
Can't
awkward. He
remember her
can get on
name,
their
but
level.
Yeah,
It's-
she didn't want to come on.
I respect him for that.
Blondes.
No, I'm just saying that was her. That's what she looked like. I don't know her name. I forget.
But like, I mean,
Oh my
my
God.
point is like when you just bring a random girl and they say, "Yeah, I'm a feminist," it's kind of like the Steven Crowder "changed my mind" versus
Yeah.
like actually talking to someone who's involved in like the
you're catching someone on the
scholastics,
spot.
academia of what.
There's a difference between like a gotcha, like man on the street type of thing, and then like actually setting up a conversation that is fair. Like Steven Crowder would just catch off guard angry college students. Before that, just going about their day. And therefore he'd look smart because he was prepared and had like gotchas ready to go.
So feminists are in favor of equality, though. So I don't know if that's interesting you or not.
Mm-hmm.
You don't believe me?
I'll take your word.
You can trust me. I'm a man.
Okay.
Oh my god.
We're talking about feminism. So what other?
Oh
so
my
you're
God.
talking about divorce court. Sorry, I know you
She's
were
so
making a point, so let's
awkward,
go back to
bro.
that. You were saying
Holy
that
fuck.
women can decide to
Tactical
terminate a pregnancy,
misogyny.
therefore they can choose to be a mom.
That's
But
good.
men cannot decide that, and they don't get the choice to be the dad.
To not be a dad.
Right.
Wear a condom.
Think
Pay for
that
her
the
plan B.
idea
I
that
don't
the
know. I don't know what to
Obviously,
tell
the reason for that, right, which we both know, is that because the baby's inside the woman's body.
I don't think that matters.
you. What?
I mean, personally, I'm pro-life, so I don't believe in abortion at all. But again, it's the double standard. It's like the women have a choice, but men do not have a choice.
Sure.
Yes, they
no, I see
do.
that there is a sense to that which is unfair. Although there are a lot of single moms, as you pointed out.
That's it.
Yeah, that are on
That's your
child
choice.
support, you know. Not all, but you know.
Well, men have the choice in the sense that they can just wear a condom
Right.
if
And
they don't want to
women
be a
have
father.
Yeah, right. But women have the choice to go on birth control.
Okay.
Women
but,
have the
but
choice
ultimately,
to take
That's
Plan B.
hormones.
Women
and
have the choice
it's-
to get an abortion. Women have the choice to.
It's so much easier to just put on a piece of fucking rubber than it is to go through a hormonal process and sometimes even a procedure. Like I couldn't walk for a day from my IUD. It's disruptive. It changes like your chemistry. It does. People gain weight, lose all that. It's a medicine like anything else. Not that like it's not a good thing, and if you want it, you should take it. Like if you want to and it works for you, like I think it's a good thing, but like wearing a condom is so much easier. No one wants to get an abortion. It's not fun. God. It's not the
You know,
same.
take the morning after pill. Women have the choice. You've like.
Oh my god, but men never pay for the morning after pill. Why don't men help pay for that shit? Why don't they pay for it? IUDs hurt so fucking bad. I was given no painkillers, nothing. And I couldn't move for like 20 minutes. Because your body goes in shock. And I was like covered in sweat. It's not fun. They can put on a piece of rubber.
if
And
a
women
man,
also can require men to put on condoms or not put on condoms.
I'm sorry, say that again.
More often than not, it's men that suggest to not wear a condom, though. I've been in situations where it was pressured for them to be like, I don't want to wear one. And I'm like, no. And they're like, but just try it. I'm always like, wrap that shit up. But like, most of the times it's men that's like, please let me hit it raw. Like, please, like.
Right, but if
So
it's
that's what I'm
inherent,
saying.
if it's inherently unfair to men, the easy solution is just it kills all this discussion is men just put on condoms when they have sex. Therefore, that
Well, you can
Yeah.
also say women close your legs. Like.
yeah, but you're the one saying that it's unfair for men. That's my point. You're saying men
No,
don't
I'm
have a
saying
choice.
I'm saying women have like 10
Men put your
choices. The men
penis
have-
away.
Once the baby is conceived,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Then the man has no choice, where the woman
Yeah.
has a choice.
Okay, so let's
'Cause
just talk about that.
I wonder
Because,
where it's conceived.
The man should be able to decide for her to have an abortion.
I'm pro-life, so I would ban it altogether. My point.
Yeah.
My
Oh,
point
so the
is
dad
the
should be able to
double
run
standard
away,
where a man
but the
is
mother should
legally
not be able
obligated to
to.
pay
Got
child
it.
support and will go to jail if he doesn't. But the woman has the choice to not be a mother through abortion.
The
But
man
I just
did
want to
this.
know what
He
you
helped.
mean. So let's just say
Why does a woman have to be the one that's stuck with it just
we're
because she's
trying
pregnant?
to make it equal for men. So should men be able to decide for women to have an abortion if she's pregnant?
I think that men should be able to sign off on child support.
Okay, so if they say,
Why?
"Hey, I don't want anything to do with this baby,"
Yeah.
then the woman can decide to have it, but the father will have no obligations.
Yes. I think that's equal. That's more fair.
Okay, so you're more interested in fairness than the welfare of society as a whole.
No, if it was up to me, if we wanted to go with
Women
good for
close their
society,
legs.
I
Yeah,
don't
you
think
help make
abortion
the
should be
baby,
legal.
bro. Just
Like,
because the woman's the one pregnant doesn't mean that, like, she needs to be stuck with everything. Unfortunately, the baby just grows in one place, but it's the result of two people, so I don't see why men should get a way out just because they have a penis.
because you'd agree it's irresponsible if it's an unplanned pregnancy that the woman, had sex with a guy without protection, right? You'd agree?
Where
Yes?
protection?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So you would agree that's equally irresponsible when it first happens?
Yeah, so you
Although I
both
guess
are
by your
equally
logic, it would be
responsible.
more irresponsible for the men because he has less choices. But yeah, they're both doing something irresponsible.
Well, but yeah, they're both irresponsible. So my point is, after that happens, women have the choice to not be a mother, but men don't have the choice not to be a father. At least, if they don't pay child support, they can go to jail.
Right, because that's
Hi,
for the
Squid.
benefit of the children,
I
which
don't
is
know.
what's the
I don't
most
think she
important
said
thing.
how she
Yeah,
feels
but is
about
it for the
birth
benefit of
control.
the kid to kill him? Like,
She's
Say what?
pro-life,
dude.
and considering that she doesn't believe women should have the right to vote, I'm gonna assume that she's not for birth control. She's probably like, I'll let God decide. Yeah, she doesn't think women should vote.
Yeah, so if we're going to go for the benefit of the kid, like if your argument is, let's do what's best for the benefit of the kid, the benefit of the kid is not killing the child. Right.
No,
I mean,
to
and
kill
for me,
them.
like I believe it's a kid, right? You might not.
Oh,
but
what's that
I
have to
do.
do with the fairness to the man? I don't understand that.
Here, wait, I got a rebuttal to this. My rebuttal. Yeah, clump of cells. That's my rebuttal.
Okay, whatever. We're arguing in circles.
Well, she's like, I agree that both sides have autonomy and choices, but she's saying that, like, you should both be stuck. In, like, her utopia, you should both be stuck with the decision. Or be stuck, like, if you get pregnant, like, you should be stuck with it. Which is... But, like, in her view, like, as of right now, since abortion is legal, she believes that a man should not be obligated to help take care of the kid since a woman could just get an abortion, which is weird. Yeah, don't want to be a dad or pay child support, wear a condom. Don't have a oh my god. Shrimp looking ass, real. Can choose to be responsible or not. What do you mean they can choose to be? It's the result of both parties. You can't choose responsibility. That's not how responsibility works. You don't choose it. Responsibility is kind of something you get stuck with. You think abortion is choosing to not be responsible? Like, I really wish that the choice of abortion was as simple as that. It's not. Some people just can't take on the responsibility of a child. And why should a child be brought up in a world where they will not have a good life? So, I don't know. Some guys just don't have the financial means to be responsible. But why does the woman have to be alone in dealing with that then?
That's less than 1% of cases. Why do you guys always
No.
I know,
but that's important, Pearl.
Bring up the most
Because
fringe
if you're going to have a conversation about
Okay.
difficult things, let's talk about the difficult things.
Okay,
Yes,
let's
you
talk
protect
Chooses not
that
to
little girl.
abort, but isn't that what you want?
Talk about the most
That's what you guys
common
want.
thing.
She makes the right choice, so she has to be alone.
That's not what's difficult about this.
But I'm saying we can get to the difficult things later. But it's like, why do you guys bring
Because
up the
that's
most
the interesting part. I'm
fringe
telling you, the
case?
law is there to protect on those.
And also, do you think that only the woman is walking away with abortion? Do you know how many women get pressured into abortion because of men? Like, be for real. It's not walking away. It's way more complicated than just walking away.
The majority of
Didn't we just do that?
You think, okay.
What do you want to say? You don't agree with abortion. So, like, if a men and women have sex and they're both being irresponsible, then sure, I understand. You say abortion's bad because we
He's
don't want
not
to murder
carrying
babies.
it.
That's not
Sorry.
controversial. That's easy to understand. The point of
Right.
these laws is to protect the little girl who's raped by her dad. These are the challenging.
More often than not,
These are the challenging
that
issues.
is not the case.
So this is why I ask you about it, because this is the byproduct of your position of no abortions are allowed under any circumstance.
I just think we spend a lot of time arguing about fringe cases that are less than like 0.5%
Those are the
of
important
abortions.
cases. That's
And
why we talk
I don't
about
think those are as important as the 99.5%.
And then she was just freaking out about the
sometimes I think it's a bit
draft, lol.
disingenuous to say, here's this extreme fringe case that
Not
happened.
feelings
and I
or
don't think
anecdotes.
you don't make a law for the exception.
Okay,
Yes,
do you understand how pregnancy works? Like, it's completely different for someone to not want to go through like a grueling process for 10 months that completely changes your body, change your life, your quality of life. There's a complete difference between not wanting to go through that and not wanting to pay child support. One of them is extremely shallow, and one of them is extremely life-changing and requires a lot of contemplating and having to be responsible for another life for 18 years. Yeah, so why, if the woman chooses to have the baby, why is she supposed to be alone with that? I really don't understand. It's for the do you not want the child to be like financially taken care of? Is also life-changing? Yeah, takes two to tango, sorry. Then wear a condom. I'm sorry. I cannot have that much sympathy for a guy who just didn't wrap his shit up. It's not even close to the same degree as going through pregnancy. Men should have choices. Men have the choice to wrap their dick up. Those are not comparable. If they choose not to, then the man should have a choice. To what? You're talking about terminating a pregnancy versus completely, like, abandoning a child. Yeah, if a woman says she doesn't want you to wear a condom, say too bad. I'm not doing that. They can choose to not pay child support if they take the child and raise it themselves. What the fuck? I know contraception for women also exists. It's more grueling on the body.
Or, I mean, exceptions are
They
important to
do.
the law.
Okay,
That's the whole point.
Wait, do you not think it's an exception? Like a 13-year-old girl getting raped by her... I don't know what you can
Wear
say.
a condom.
You can say whatever you want.
Wear a fucking
I don't think
condom
rape. I don't think rape.
if you
is
want
gonna-
so badly
away.
to
Well,
run
it's
away
just-
from
Yeah, I
the
don't know.
pregnancy
But
you caused.
do you not think that's an exception?
But
It's
well,
not
she was
common.
raped. What do you mean by exception?
Right. Like, do you think it's common?
No, of course it's not common.
Is it really that, like, fucked up of me to want someone I'm having sex with to do the right thing? Are you for real? I should do the right thing for myself. I've done everything right. I have an IUD. I always tell them to wrap it up. I'm no hypocrite. I take my responsibility. I want people to take theirs.
To give birth to that baby because you didn't want to have a conversation about her.
Yeah, well, I mean, I
You're
would
definitely
still
a
make it,
man. You are definitely a
illegal,
man.
to be
Like,
honest. Because again,
why
I
are
think
you
we
so
either think it's
defensive
a
of
life or
running
you
away
don't.
from children?
So if you think it's a child, you're never gonna.
I knew a man who openly had a breeding kink. Like, he liked that. He was into that. Now you're gonna yell at me for being anecdotal. But, like, it does happen, okay? Men are, like, into that. He told me if I got a girl pregnant, I would leave. I would run away. But that's, like, I feel like I'm not in the minority with that. To choose or walk away? How is that intellectually consistent? It's a completely different thing to go through. You have no sympathy. Like, you are evil.
Right.
But ultimately, what quality of life do you
No.
expect this child to have from like a 13-year-old
It's not a
girl who was
child.
raped by her dad?
Lower quality life, less valuable. Like, that's almost saying if you are in a bad
can't with you.
situation,
I'm
your
being
life is less
sorry.
valuable than someone who isn't.
I can't do
And that's
this.
kind of a tricky argument.
Not less valuable, but I mean, if we're
But one should be aborted, one shouldn't. So one should be in society, one shouldn't be in society. I would say that's less valuable.
you were interested in the idea of fairness, right? Instead of the welfare of society. So let's talk about fairness. Is it fair to the little girl that she was forcibly impregnated by her dad?
Right, but is it fair? Is it fair to the child?
Okay, so who's
Like, that's like we could talk
a
about
13-year-old
fairness,
is a
then you-
child,
then
by
you
the way.
go-
She's 13. She is a child.
Roach
Yeah,
Head
and
is
I agree, and I
supportive
think
of the is more supportive of the. Oh my god. you cannot be pro like kid and then be like, yeah, I value that. I don't think I need to explain that. If you are pro kids being safe, you are not forcing a 13-year-old to go through pregnancy. Be for real.
It's horrible,
Oh
and I think
God.
there should be the death penalty for rapists, but I don't believe in abortion. And again, to me, I think that's a child, and I just can't advocate for the murder of a kid under
Okay,
any
that's fair.
circumstance.
I understand where you're coming from. What about situations where like 12% of abortions are related to health crises where there's a chance the woman might die or the baby might die
Very
or both?
common.
Mm-hmm.
It's very
Your
much a
thoughts on that?
possibility.
I don't know enough about those situations to really have an opinion on it.
I always think of the It's Always Sunny episode about abortion because, well, Matt gets close to like the pro-life shawties, and then like as soon as like she tells him she's pregnant, he's like, you need to get an abortion. It was awesome. But it's like so real. Like that's literally, it's so accurate to like how people actually are. Pro-life supports the death penalty.
That they would likely both die in those situations. So
Sometimes it's just the
maybe
mom.
that's an exception, but I don't know enough about that stuff.
It should only be allowed if like the baby's gonna die anyways, but if the mom's gonna die and the baby's not, then it's not okay. Is that what she said? Even during birth, if it's mom's life versus baby's life, they always, mommy comes first. Sorry, that sounded weird. But like, that's literally the medical consensus that no mom, no baby. That's like a no-brainer to me. Like, of course that should be allowed. The mom's health matters the most because she's already alive, has a life, all that.
The baby
That's just how
lives,
it
but the
goes.
mom dies. What do you think should happen in that situation?
I don't know.
The reason I'm putting your feet to the fire on this is because you think you says
I don't know,
very
that's a silly
specifically
one.
that abortion should be outlawed in
I have to
all
think about that.
situations.
It's silly.
Yeah, I could maybe see an exception for the life of the mother, but I've heard and I don't want to quote this because again, it's just something I've heard. I've heard it's not as
That's just how
common
they've been
as
doing
people lead you to believe, and like
What?
sometimes those stats are manipulated, but I
it. You
don't.
know,
Yeah, but the
pregnancy is very
commonness-
dangerous.
The commonness doesn't really matter. It's more about I think the exceptions are interesting. I disagree. I think
Complications
when
during
you say,
pregnancy.
why are we focusing on the
very
exceptions?
common.
I think that's a way for you to try to dismiss difficult questions.
I just think it's like silly when 99.5% of abortions are not the exception. So
So you don't, but that doesn't make sense. I mean, why don't you care about the situation of everybody else just because it's the exception?
I just think you should spend more time debating the most common thing.
Imagine if like you went to get an abortion, you had to like fill out a questionnaire. Like that's so weird. Again, I feel that the same way I feel about like abortion is the same thing I feel about divorce and like breakups is that I don't believe you need to like have a reason to do it. Sorry. I don't think you need to go in and justify yourself and like be like, yeah, it's because of this. No, it should be no questions asked. Sorry. That's just how I feel. Because when it gets to like only allowed in this, it gets iffy and like I don't think only some people should get and some shouldn't, because like that leads to fuck ups and it leads to mistreatment, especially of like marginalized people.
I'm sorry, I was reading something. What'd you say?
Is there any other examples other than
Her ass is
rights
pretending that
and
she does not
voting
care.
/ draft
Oh my god.
that
Sorry, I was busy. I
shows
was
that
doing something
feminism was
else.
a mistake or that feminists are disingenuous or something like that?
God, she sucks so bad.
I would just say like there's just a lack. The biggest one I would say is divorce court. 90%.
Oh my god, why does she care so much about
of the
divorce
time?
court?
I think 90% of alimony payments are awarded to women.
Why? Why do you think that
What does that have to do with women's suffrage, though? You said you criticized the whole thing going all the way back to its
It's almost like men
inception.
I
make
thought
more
you
money
asked
than
other
women.
double standards. No.
Well, I asked you what's your problem with feminism. We can move on, though. I have a good question for you. I hear you talk a lot about the pay gap.
Right.
Here we
The
go.
pay gap is a myth. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I can't see it. They
Because
say
women
gap.
don't do the
and
dangerous jobs in
implies a whole
society.
lot.
The majority
Yeah, dangerous
of the
job
time,
like CEO.
the majority is women making an excuse.
Wait, does she think
just
that people with dangerous jobs get paid more? Because that's really funny. If you think like people with the more like physically dangerous and grueling jobs get paid more, lol.
Poor me. When
Do you realize you're arguing from emotion right now?
Are you gonna let me finish?
Oh, I just wanted to point that out, but yeah, go ahead.
All right.
It's
You
just
asked
important
what
to
I
know.
think. You asked what I think.
Well, the pay gap is more concrete than, I mean, I asked what.
I mean, when you take into account the number, women work less hours.
Right.
Why?
You don't do the most would you say that's true? Women work less hours?
Yes,
That's what you
statistically,
want.
Would you say, okay, would you say it's true that we don't do the most dangerous jobs in society?
Yes, statistically,
Would you,
that's true.
okay,
Oh my
would you agree that the majority, if you look at female millionaires, the richest women came from divorce?
Okay.
True or not true?
Yeah, that's true, I guess. I think so.
Okay.
That's called
so
getting your bag.
what are we
Sorry.
complaining about?
What does that have to do with the pay gap? Any of that?
Because all of
Sorry.
those you don't
That's
think
called
working less hours
strategy.
contributes
She's
to
just
getting paid
jealous.
less?
So what you're doing is you're misrepresenting what the pay gap is. You understand that? The pay gap, when it's analyzed by economics, economists,
Women are not allowed
and the
to
US
finish.
Department of Labor and such organizations, they do
banger.
controlled analysis where they eliminate all these factors. For example, ones you listed,
Got
women
D&D
tending
later?
to
Hell
work in
yeah.
lower paid
Have
fields.
fun.
They eliminate women working less. They eliminate for when women take maternity leave, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And even when you do a controlled
It is.
analysis where you eliminate that, there's still a big pay gap.
That's not true.
Well, like the reason the discourse about the pay gap got started, at least like when I was growing up, the big thing was like people were exposing like their workplace. This is why it's like people want you to be hush hush about like your salary, how much you make. Like people say that like you should keep that to yourself, keep it secret. I'm of the opinion that you should not. I think that you should be transparent about how much you can make, especially with your coworkers, because those conversations are when you find out if one of you is being mistreated or not being like compensated fairly. Yeah, it's a way to prevent you realizing, oh fuck, I'm being like mistreated. But I remember like when I was like younger, the reason people started talking about it is because like people were figuring out that like as a woman they were getting paid less than a male coworker who had literally the exact same job. It was happening and people were coming out about it and being like, this is not fair. And then it started to be like talked about and there's been a little progress, but then there's also other factors that people talk about.
Wasn't it like 3%? Last time I checked, it was 3%.
Oh, so there is a pay gap.
Yeah, but that's 3%.
But it's not a myth if there's
3%?
3%.
Yeah, but the number they used
You're
to
talking
push
about a
was, like,
salary? That might be a
77 cents
lot.
to the dollar.
But that's what it is without it's about 20%
Correct.
without
Correct.
the
Correct.
control. Yeah.
It should be
Like, I just think if we wanted to
zero.
be equal, then do the same jobs men do.
But there
And
is
we
a
don't
buy.
choose-
But that's interesting because you
don't
admit
choose
there
to
is
do that.
there is a pay gap. 3%. I mean, I wouldn't want to work for 3% less.
Yeah, you should be paid
Yeah, I mean,
the
if
same
you
and
think that's
fairly.
because of gender, but
There's-
it's also because women are more agreeable. It's like 70.
That's included. That's part of the
Women-
control.
Okay.
The Department of Labor published an in-depth report. This is under Trump's administration in 2019.
LOL.
This is from the U.S. Department of Labor. The research team found that the raw gender wage gap was 17.4% and the median was 20%. The raw wage gap increased actually between 50th and 75th percentile and remains the greatest at the highest percentile. In addition, the research team found that the importance of human capital varied across wage distributions and part-time work, as well as female-oriented occupations. The updated result explained about 20 to 70% of the raw wage gap over the wage distribution, but it left an adjusted wage gap of 10 to 15%. That was in 2019.
Wow.
I mean, I'd have to look at that, but the stuff I've seen, it's very small. It's like 3%.
What stuff have you seen?
Bro, you think the U.S. Department of Labor would be that open about that? If anything, I would think that the U.S. Department of Labor downplays it, if anything. That just there being that statistic on a government platform is incredible.
In my head, I can't remember, but I can send it to you.
Sure. I mean, the U.S. Department of Labor, do you consider that a credible source?
Yeah. I mean, if that's true, it's just a lot of times like there are like parts of the study that they don't talk about.
Yeah.
So. Like even on this is what I was looking at earlier. Like they're saying the stat you gave earlier, 12% of abortions are not done on the surgery table of the emergency room. These cases are overwhelmingly doctors advising abortions ahead of time in case there are risks for the mothers in pregnancy. Also, that 12% number they give is highly inflated.
Yeah. What does that have to do with the pay gap? I'm confused by that.
No, the point is that like a number you gave me earlier,
I don't
like
know.
there was more
Oh,
to
she's
it.
saying.
Which number? Which one? I'm sorry. Go ahead. We'll unpack that. I mean, a
Yeah.
doctor is qualified to say this baby is going to put your life at risk.
Yeah, it
I
sounds
would
like a
trust the doctor to
pretty
say that,
fair
wouldn't you?
situation.
Yeah,
Like, why
but
wait till the- why wait till the-
they're saying that number's inflated.
Who's saying they didn't say that.
Who's saying
what you
that?
read did not say it's inflated.
No,
Who
but they're
said
saying
that?
it's inflated. I don't know.
Who's saying? Who's they?
Yeah, they didn't say that. So here,
Wait, who's they?
Who's they?
It's just someone I do research with, so it's
So just someone.
yeah. Don't.
that's good. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Don't push, right?
Oh my god!
I thought maybe you'd be interested.
Holy shit! Oh my god!
Women don't do the dangerous jobs. Women are overrepresented in healthcare. You know that probably, right?
Yeah,
That's
it's
definitely
number
a
one
dangerous
employer is nursing.
Then hopefully you can explain to me why
Nursing
when you look at the
notoriously
pay
not
of
dangerous
women versus
or
men doctors,
grueling.
look, you can see this graph. There's a huge disparity of the average wage of male doctors versus female doctors.
God damn!
You
Look
can
at that.
see here, and even this
Lot
is
of
from
money.
2022, last year. This is again from the physician compensation report. Male doctors make on average $285,000 per year. Female doctors make on average.
Yeah, God told me it was
$228,000 per year.
inflated. Sorry.
So this
God.
is the woman's field, and yet they're still making significantly less than their male counterparts.
Okay, does it say why?
No, this is raw data. This is just raw data.
Why?
You'd have to look at it.
I think the thing about graphs is this is a time. Okay, so this is a timeline. And so you see the thing with graphs is you have an independent variable and a dependent variable. And the independent variable being gender, which is the y, this is the being a woman or man results in this certain wage. It's called the scientific method. So the independent variable leads to the dependent variable, which is gender leads to how much you get paid as a physician. So this is the y. That is how graphs work.
Why?
Hope that helps.
So if women work less hours.
They work less hours.
That's what I'm asking. That's
no,
what
this
I'm
is
asking.
this is controlled. They're working the same hours. They have the same qualifications.
Yeah, scientists are not fucking stupid. Like social
Okay, well then,
scientists
maybe they are
have a
in that
lot of
field, I don't know.
controls.
Okay, so
Social sciences like this are like extremely careful because of how complex social science is.
but here, I mean, here's an excerpt so we can kind of see how you talk about these issues. Here it is.
I think in 2022, any girl that complain, I'm not talking about race because that's
Oh
the
my
first thing
God.
people always bring in. I'm talking about female to male. I think in 2022, if you're complaining about the pay gap as a woman, you're probably just lazy. I have never had a problem getting the same pay as a guy. One issue is that women
Skill issue.
You kind of agree that women who
Bro,
complain
you are a
about pay are lazy.
podcaster.
Yeah, the majority of the women complaining about this stuff. Yeah,
What do you mean
the
majority?
of the women,
What do you mean majority of women?
the majority of the women complaining about this
Based
stuff
on what?
are
Majority
just
of women.
whiners. Just what I see, whiners,
What you
big
see?
whiners. Yeah, I mean, because women, it's like go.
You're arguing from emotion again.
Yeah, woman moment.
All right. Okay. Is that what you're gonna say every time you don't agree with me?
Oh no, you
Just every
literally
time
are
you do
just
that.
saying stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that I disagree. I'm just saying if we want to have a conversation about this stuff, it'd be better if we don't argue from emotion and say, I feel that all women are complainers, because that's not a productive point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I still think that most women that complain about the pay gap are just whiners. And I
She
have
said
never
feel
had
again.
trouble getting a job. I've never had trouble getting the same pay as a guy.
Yeah, skill
And
issue.
I think that in 2023,
Women are
it's just a bunch of
stupid
excuses.
and
So what's your
bad and
experience in the
lazy,
work?
so-
You use your own experience as an example of why women pay gap doesn't exist.
Yeah, I'm not blind.
Do
like
you,
you can,
well, hold on.
you
What's
can
your
go.
experience in the workforce?
I always had a job from like after high school in the summers. And I worked in corporate America, and then I did.
How long did you work in corporate America?
Wait, she didn't have a job until after high school and just in the summers? Oh my God, your life is so hard. You work so hard.
A couple years.
Couple years. I
Lazy.
have
I'm only 26.
Right,
know?
you're only 26, and therefore
She's only
I wouldn't
26.
put you in the, and you
Oh
have
my
maybe 1
God.
or 2 years working in corporate America. Do
Yeah,
you
she
think
probably
that
worked
your
at her parents'
experience is
company.
ample to say I've seen that women get paid equally to men? That seems disingenuous based on 1 year or 2 years, and you're only 26 years old.
Yeah, that's just my opinion.
Okay.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Because what barriers do women have today in 2023? Like, I just genuinely don't understand
barriers,
what's stopping
right?
you.
It's not about barriers. It's about
Social
norms. It's about
yeah.
like patriarchy. It's about social, the way that we perceive the
But, like,
value of
social norms
people.
and
It's not about
structures
barriers. There's no
yeah.
laws that say women can't do this and that.
Yeah.
Obviously.
It's just that backwards.
Okay, so there's
beliefs
no
that people
barriers?
have.
No, not that I could think of.
Okay.
Pay transparency. I do think that there's a bit of discrimination going on. I do think that behind closed doors, when there's no transparency in payment, this presupposition, by the way, that you putting forward that women are lazy and just making excuses, that doesn't help. Honestly, it's hard. I don't know how to explain it but I know it exists, right? I know it exists.
So you think the bosses behind closed doors say we should hire less women?
No, it's not a conscious
Or,
thing,
like-
right? It's systemic.
Okay. Then do you have it? Like, do you subconsciously pay women less?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. So
Yeah.
then wouldn't
Well, he's
Okay.
aware. He's done the
Sure,
work
I'm
to
just
be
I don't pay
aware
women
of
less,
the
if
then
issue.
does that
Well, I'm just thinking if you think there's this like subconscious thing,
Yeah.
like then you.
Well,
I
but
would
it
think
does
have it.
exist, right? I mean, we
Yeah,
can
The
look
thing
for-
about
should the
something
women
being a
ask for raises
subconscious
that
thing
year?
is
Well,
like
we're talking about you saying it's a myth, okay?
if you
Yeah.
realize you
But it
have it,
does
you can
exist.
work on it
That's
and
what's
get rid of
interesting.
it. That's like
I don't
That's
think there's
called, like,
anything stopping
improving
you today.
yourself.
You could maybe argue.
it's not like an inherent.
I can't even do it in my soul. You
Environmental
could maybe argue
factor.
like 50 years ago, but I just think in 2023
Mhm.
there are no barriers.
Didn't you say earlier 50 years ago wasn't that long ago?
Yeah, he's
In
literally a
regards to the traffic?
YouTuber with a
okay, fine,
podcast.
100
Like,
years ago. I
100
was
years
just.
ago.
I'm saying in the past you could argue, but in 2023.
he's not
I just
running
don't think
like.
there's anything stopping you. I think it's like very much a victim mindset to tell women, like to go up telling us that we're oppressed. Like I think that I can do anything minus like the physical stuff, but I think I can apply for any job a guy
Oh
can
my
if I want.
God.
I can go after any job that I want. I can ask for more money if I want, and I don't think that men are out there discriminating against women. You know, I grew up in a family business too. So my dad hired people all the time. Like he had over 200 employees.
Wasn't your mom the president? Was she the leader of the company?
What was you're researching my family now, huh?
Well, that's all
No,
public.
my mom,
What?
I mean, I don't know what they titled
What?
it.
Wait, no, no, no,
Your
no,
mom
no,
was
no,
the
no, no.
president, I believe. But
Don't
that's
act like
fine.
that was
I
creepy.
really-
That was
They might have-
actually
they might
pretty-
have titled it one thing or another. My mom did more
A
of
pretty
the
valid thing to bring up.
marketing sales side. My dad did the engineering and the software. They wanted to get some grant, so I think like they might have had her. They did that to get some grant from the government or something. I don't remember, but
What?
And yeah, is that a crime?
Yeah, you
I
probably
don't
shouldn't say
What?
that.
We can cut that out.
Parents might not.
What?
Um,
Yeah, is that
but I
legal?
guess, you know, again, we're
Oh my
kind of hitting
God.
a wall on this topic.
Hell no.
what I would
What
say
the
is this.
fuck?
if you survey men between the ages of 20 and 80, they're all the most attracted to 22-year-olds. I peaked 3 years ago. You guys did too. At 22, 23. And so what men value is purity, youth, and fertility.
So that's something I've heard you say. Obviously, you strongly believe that, right? That women who are past the age of 22, their value goes down. All men just want young girls.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess what's the message behind this? Who are you speaking to, and what is it that?
I mean, it's just true. Men do want younger women.
That's creepy.
I mean,
right.
That's
I
creepy
want to
as
ask you this
fuck.
before we get into that. What is your message? Who are you speaking to, and what is it you're hoping that they take from this?
I mean, I just believe in speaking about things that are true.
I'm
And
20.
I think a lot of times as women, we're told that we can just wait.
I'm
forever,
attracted
get
to
married
people
at
who are
35,
my
and have a bunch of
age.
kids, and that's just not true.
Who's saying that?
I just think it's the message that's pushed by the media and culture today.
The media is telling women to get married at 35.
What?
I mean, what have you ever seen? Like, what's
Oh yeah, the
a
media just
homemaker
puts the
that's on
right
TV?
age.
Family really isn't isn't pushed. And so I'm not saying it to dog on women, but I just think a lot of times like we're lied to. I mean, we have
What?
men are called ageist. You know, men.
Well, it's weird. It's
Men are
creepy.
constantly shamed when they have a standard.
Standard?
I mean, that's like
Yeah, you can't. My standard is women can't age.
Bring it up a lot.
Realistic
I know that.
standard to have.
Because it's true.
So
and a lot of times,
literally
women,
Big
You're
Lebowski.
speaking to women. You're saying past 22, your value.
I mean,
I get older, they stay the same
your
age.
message-
to men, and your value on the sexual marketplace.
No,
So
she
your
says
value,
men are being
like, that
called
doesn't mean,
ageist
like, your
for
personal
not
worth.
wanting
I'd
to
like
date
just
women their
clarify that,
age
but
and
yeah.
only wanting
And so your
to
message to them
date
is
younger women.
nothing, You're
which
just
is
saying
like
because it's true. I mean,
I
why
mean,
not just say the
it's
sun is
big-
hot?
it's-
Right.
It's like being like women have an expiration date. It's like that.
Men.
Like I wouldn't say I'm like an advice channel, like do this, do this, do this. I mean, it's more talking about the state of relationships today is a better way that I would put it.
So as men get older,
back,
not like
Kitty
super old, but their value goes up. And as a man's value on the sexual marketplace goes up, they're looking for younger virgins, right? That's important. And so any woman who's not
Well, historically, virginity has always been a prerequisite for marriage. Like 100 years ago, 85% of women didn't admit to premarital sex. So,
Why do you think that is?
That women are not virgins.
Why do you think that
you know what an
is?
appeal to tradition is?
That's patriarchy, brother.
What we did 100 years
saying-
ago doesn't predict anything.
Well,
to
I'm
do with
saying
what
the
we do
outcomes
today.
are better for women. Like the outcomes are obviously better. We have more
What?
women on antidepressants than ever before, and there are studies both ways when it comes to female happiness.
we have
But
more
most of the ones that I've
women
seen
getting help for
indicate that
depression now.
women are-
Whoa.
Women are happier with the family.
So again, you're doing the "I'm not blind, I see this," which is like again a kind of an emotional argument. Antidepressants didn't
You
exist
just want to
100
call me
years ago.
emotional today. That's just your go-to today.
Well, I'm trying. It's hard to have a
the
conversation with somebody who
sexism
says
that I face, the sexism I face in this country, I just get called emotional.
right. Well, it's hard to have a conversation with somebody.
Right. No.
I mean, it's
Bruh.
how do you address that in a conversation?
How is
I
he so
see
good
this,
at
I'm
this?
not
I
blind.
could
mean,
not.
That's not really a concrete.
Well,
point to me.
I listed the before that.
Oh my
Let's talk about
god.
those.
Why is he
Antidepressants
so
didn't
good?
exist 100 years ago. What relevance does that have?
I'm gaining
on
so
the
much
happiness
respect.
of women then and now.
We're seeing them get more and more on antidepressants.
Well, men are on antidepressants too. I think those
yeah,
are
but we're
probably
not talking.
correlated.
We're not talking about men.
But
you
if
know,
men and women are getting
But
on
but it's like,
antidepressants
why
at the
can't-
same rate, then it doesn't.
Why can't we have a conversation about women without talking about the men?
Because
it doesn't.
the
It's like 90%. I can't answer questions if you keep interrupting me when I'm trying to answer you. So it's like 90% of women are on contraceptive or have been on contraceptives at some point in their life. One out of 4 women have an STD. 1 out of 3 women has had an abortion. It's like these aren't good numbers. Like, do you genuinely think that sleeping around is good for women?
I don't.
Who do you think gave
in
them
my
the
opinion, mass
STD?
sleeping around like you're talking about, like 100 plus partners, isn't good for men or women.
Okay,
That's my.
Who do you think gave them the
Sleeping with
STD?
multiple partners is good.
I think it's completely fine. I don't think there's an issue with women having
Do you
multiple
think it's
partners.
do you think it's good for them? Do you think it's good for
I think
women?
it
Depends on the person. Yeah.
relationships. I mean, the
Depends on the
premise is
person.
neutral.
Sorry.
People, men and women, have good and bad relationships. Some benefit them, some don't.
Overall, multiple partners. You would say good for women or bad for women?
I literally cannot
average-
answer that question because it makes no sense. It depends on the relationships. But let's say this. I'll answer it. I'll say I think it's good to get more experiences in life and to have multiple partners. I think it's good.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think it's not good.
Why?
So, I think because it leads to more heartbreak.
Heartbreak?
Yeah, like women sleeping with multiple people.
Wait, what?
I don't think that's a good thing.
You don't.
I
You
don't
can
think-
get
I
heartbroken
don't
without
think it
sleeping
brings- I
someone.
don't-
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean
but-
heartbreak. Like if you're in a committed
That's
monogamous
true, but I just don't
relationship,
think it's the same. Women attach through
You think
sex.
it's not
only
the
having
same.
sex with one person.
Men attach
I-
through sex too, by the way.
Yeah, but we're not talking about men. I'm talking about women.
But you. So
I don't think
What?
sleeping around is great for men either. But I don't think it's the same for men and
But
for
like
women.
it's not even just sleeping around. It's just literally even like people who are in relationships have just been in multiple relationships. You still have multiple partners sexually. So like just having a body count doesn't mean you were just having hookups all the time. You could have exclusively been in relationships and still have like 9 bodies.
If 85% of women were virgins 100 years ago, and everyone's on antidepressants, maybe
so was
it doesn't
society perfect 100 years ago?
Maybe it doesn't.
Does she
have
know
good
what
outcomes for women.
antidepressants do to your libido?
Society was perfect 100 years ago when women were virgins.
I didn't say perfect, but there was more
'Cause
intact families.
I can
which
tell you
like
what
it.
they do to
Expectancy
mine.
was like 50 back then, just so you know.
Not good.
I did not say. I don't know. What does that have to do with anything?
Well, you're saying the quality of life. I mean, things were better back then.
I said we.
don't think so.
I said we had more intact families, which I think is important.
Well, I think women being more open
Here,
with their
did I finish the
sexualities
clip?
protects them
From
more.
them, so I'd love to hear this
It
side.
prevents
the
them
pay
from
gap
being
say?
manipulated, or
Men want younger
they can
women.
like assess
We watched
situations
this whole
better
clip.
because they can
So,
like discuss
I was just trying to
and have different
basically apply it
experiences.
to your life
you
if I
know?
can. It's like they're gonna want a younger and more virgin woman.
Ew.
You look at men and say he's a high value man, he's a medium value man, he's a low value man, right? And we could say that. We can put men into those
High
categories.
value men in chat.
Okay, so let's say you're in the
yeah.
dating field, right? You're
Even
looking for a
if
partner.
you're a beta, I consider you high value. You're all high value.
So,
to me.
if a man who is willing to settle, let's say you're not that old, but you're 26, and you say that anyone over 25 is like
expired.
almost damaged goods or getting worse and worse,
No.
it's less valuable. It's less valuable.
Correct. Yes, I would say
Oh my
I was
God.
more valuable 5 years ago. Yes, in terms of the dating market. Yes.
So, do you think that
I really doubt
how
anyone
can
was dating her
somebody
then, but
who's
okay.
older and not a virgin and less valuable, how can they get in a relationship with a man and not think they're a loser? Because if you're a
Real.
low value woman,
You can be
then,
a high
in
value
sense,
non-binary.
you'd be judging the guy
We love
who's
that here.
quote unquote settling for you because he couldn't get a higher value woman. So in a sense, a guy that you would settle for would be a loser by your own metrics. Low value.
Well, what are men supposed to do? 95% of women aren't virgins on their wedding days. You could be a multimillionaire and not get a
What do
virgin.
you mean? What are they
How do you-
supposed to
but-
do?
That's
how
why
do you
I think
get a
that's why
virgin?
You see
They're-
more men walking
They're
away from
entitled to one
relationships.
for real.
How do you
Yeah.
enter a relationship and not think that he's a loser because he's
Poor
low
men.
value?
Most of them aren't marrying virgins.
I don't really know how to answer that question.
It's crazy how most people that get
would
married
decide
have
to
been in
settle on
a
somebody
relationship
like
for a
you
very
who's
long
a little
time.
bit older, not
and
as
have
fertile,
sex.
not as
Crazy.
fertile. You are not a virgin, and also I'll tell you something else. You like being in the foreground, which is not good for traditional marriages. I mean, he's looking for someone who wants to build a home. You don't know how to cook
Yeah,
either.
I don't expect to be with like a high value guy. I think that's silly.
Okay. What's your
like 'cause when I think of high value, I think of like top 5% of men.
So what value do you think
Very-
you'll be settling on?
I
in your
want
own
to see a
personal
picture of her idea of a high value male.
What value will
Yeah.
I be settling on in my
life? Yeah, what
personal?
man do you
Here, I
think
can
is
draw
reasonable
again.
for
Do you
you
want me to
pursue?
draw? I can draw a high value man.
I just kind of I think that's a bit of a inappropriate like question. But
That's interesting because you spend like all day talking about this stuff. I find that it's really interesting to have you and put this analysis into use. Why is it
because the way
inappropriate?
you're framing the question is a bit disingenuous.
This is so
Based on your
awkward.
own.
What's my value to a guy that I'm
No.
looking for?
What value
No,
of
like
man?
I wish I don't know what you want me to say. Like I wish I was a virgin. You know, I should have waited.
No.
Like I don't know what.
She has
Like, I
guilt,
don't-
bruh.
I don't.
That's
you know, most
sad.
guys
That's like
don't
actually
expect that in
sad.
2023, unfortunately.
Okay,
I
but
think
hold
it's
on. I'm
silly
talking
to
about
Having multiple.
I'm
He said
talking about
having
you.
multiple partners.
Your
is
value by
is
your
good
own
thing.
metrics is going to be not super high.
Because you learn about yourself through.
So-
Yeah, it's less
Other
higher than it
people.
was 5 years ago.
But it's not even just the age thing. It's like you are working. You're in the foreground. You don't know how to cook. These are not good things for your scorecard.
Hey, I'm actually pretty good now. I've gotten.
You have a
gotten
cook.
lot better.
Okay,
I've
good.
gotten
You're
a lot
working
better.
towards it, but
God.
unfortunately, as you
I've
age,
started-
those
I've
things are going to
started
bounce
to-
out.
You start in a certain place in life, but all you can do is improve and get better.
That's interesting. I agree. So, what is the point of?
That's interesting. I agree.
Because a lot of
You
times
know.
we're
He's
like,
such an
we're lied to.
asshole.
We're not even told what men want. Being
Okay.
told that men want younger women is like crazy, even though that's
That's
something
not true, by the way.
new.
It's not. That's not true, by the way.
Men don't want younger women. They want, okay, who's hotter? A 50-year-old is equally as hot as a 20-year-old, just based on looks and nothing else.
So, yeah, it could be. I mean, it
Depends.
could be.
Depends.
Like, how do you meet a guy that you respect because he's settling on you? Don't you see that there's a paradox here?
I mean, if you respect men, you don't.
But how are you going to settle for a low value man? Because like that, it's like, dude, come on,
A low value man.
A low value man.
I think if you get married, you're lucky to get married.
How would you? Where's your value as a woman? Would you say, like, on a scale of 1 to 10?
I give myself like a 5.
A 5? Yeah, that's fair. I think.
I was
based
so
on your metric, I'm not
fast.
saying one way
What
or
the?
the other.
That's fucked up.
So we're looking for.
I think I'm
What
a
the
5.
fuck?
So you're saying that all
That's
men want
so
to
fucked up.
have sex with younger women. Are you aware that the MILF category is like the most popular? It was the number
That's
one
true.
most searched term in 2018. MILF.
Yeah, men like to have sex with older women.
But why is it the most searched for?
Yeah, it's a
They're looking
fetish,
for
yes.
MILFs, and when they watch porn,
Are you saying porn is the same thing as marriage and relationships?
you say men want
That's
to
what
have
men
sex
want.
with young girls. Why then are men when they're
younger
fantasizing?
women. When you say young girls, that's a bit.
Okay,
you know.
22. I mean, what?
They are. They're young women.
Okay, young women, 22-year-olds. Why then are they going to Pornhub and looking up MILFs if they just want to, if they prefer? And this is the most searched. Wouldn't they be searching for like teen or something?
Men aren't that picky. You know what I mean?
No. It's not about picky. It's about preference. They looked for the MILF.
Okay, so I have a question. Why do you think like the number one, like they swipe right on younger women?
They set their
That's
age.
just
to
the
that.
thing I said.
You think it's
You have to
equal?
you have to blatantly set your age.
22-year-old.
Wait, what do you mean they swipe right on younger women? Who do you think is using dating apps the most? Like young adults.
Like, so when it comes to children, like women are still the most fertile when they're younger. So, I mean, we can have a cultural shift, but that doesn't change your biology.
Well, we have a scientific shift too. We have methods of making it easier for older women to have babies. Yeah. So like the cultural shift is
you're talking
matching
about
the
IVF,
scientific.
you're talking
IVF,
about, like,
it's not just IVF. There's fertility treatments you can get. I've done it with my wife. It's less invasive. It's like taking hormones and stuff. And the science.
I can pull up the numbers, but the majority of IVF fails.
What?
Especially over a certain age. I can pull it up.
So
I think it's expensive too. It's like the average IVF is like $30,000.
Yeah, most fertility treatments isn't IVF. There's less invasive, less impactful, less expensive things that you can do that are really effective.
Right. Like, I think that's easy for you to do, right? You're in a great position
It
in
should
life.
be free. I agree.
But no, I don't think
It
that
should be free.
you should
What?
pay for other people's decisions.
What?
I think if you want to make that decision, you should pay for it. But I just think that's
Do you want
an
people to
easy
have
thing
kids
for
or
you to
not?
say
Like,
when you're in
come
like
on.
you do such great numbers. I'm sure you do really well income wise.
Thank you for saying that. Should we pay for prisoners or should we execute them all?
It's either pay for prison or execute them.
Okay, right. That's extreme.
Well, what else would you do for
In
them?
a sense, though, I'm trying to make it like somewhat.
That's a tough question.
Well, prisoners cost on average like $30,000 a year for the average prisoner.
Yeah.
Or even more now, probably like 40,
more. I think it's like
45.
Living paycheck to paycheck, who cares about 3%? Real.
look it up so
That's
we have the right
crazy. Because the IVF is obviously way cheaper than that.
God, this drawing's going crazy. I
So what
can't
do we
wait
do
for you to
about
see
that?
it.
What are they in prison for? I don't know much about. This is kind of
Um,
a different, topic, but I do think we should execute.
Well, they're all
rapists.
costing us the same amount of money,
Rapists we can
$45,000.
execute, and murderers. Yeah, we can. The rest, I
God
don't really
damn,
know.
that's
I don't have a strong opinion.
Well,
but
IVF,
in
let's
general,
say, costs $10,000.
I guess prison would make a bit more sense because you want a safe society, so that's something everybody benefits from. But I don't benefit.
who's in prison, Pearl?
Susie down the streets waits till she's 35 to get married,
But
and
then
then
there's
decides.
her family.
Who's
will
in
be stronger,
prison,
she's less
Pearl?
likely to get divorced.
Are they
kids
the
will grow up in a
people who
stable
are
household.
doing
she could do that when
violence
she's
most of
younger.
the time?
Again, we're
Right, but
always
that's not how it
Are they a
works, and you
danger
know
to
that. You look at the stats.
society?
Younger people are more likely to get divorced. Young people don't make as much money.
What do you mean by young? So like I think the stat I saw was under the age of 21, but it's like between above that the divorce rate's very similar.
Do you think women under 21 should get married?
Yeah, if they want to. More time you can spend with a husband rather than just like out on the dating market. I think that's better. I think less experience is better.
What?
Here's
Less
an
experience is
interesting,
better.
Now, regarding men
Wow.
wanting to sleep with.
There's like
younger women.
no
Tough.
So I've been
place where
trying
you would
to
say
source
that.
that figure. By the
How
way,
old is Abella Danger?
she's 27. That's pretty old in your world.
Wow,
isn't
it's
it?
crazy when you get experience. You get to know what you're good at and what you like,
Reed. Yeah, but that's not a
and
MILF.
can like advocate for yourself
No.
better and have more
And
knowledge.
for us, it's like
It's almost like experience
Lana
is
Rhoades is
valuable. I don't
Lana
know.
Rhoades is
Lana Rhoades is
Anyway.
26.
26.
the top categories I have is ebony, lesbian, threesome.
I don't see any 22-year-old
What?
head large mainstream porn star.
There's no way those are the
22
top.
versus 26.
That gotta be
bad.
her
Like
algorithm.
we say 18 and 28 is a woman's peak.
20. What is the woman's peak?
Between 18 and 28. I mean,
28?
it slowly declines after.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know if I
22,
want to hear. I think I'm
23,
gonna
it
skip
slowly
the.
declines, but
Excuse me.
I think I'm gonna
18 to
skip the
28
porn
is
And
the
part.
woman's
peak.
I don't really want to
do
hear
you-
about
So do you agree
porn.
with that premise that slavery was embellished?
I think that there are parts that are under embellished and there are parts that are over embellished. I think it just depends what we're
That's so
talking
interesting.
That's
I've got to
crazy.
know what was over embellished about slavery. Just like one example, I'm dying to know.
What?
Yeah, I just rather. I mean, I was talking about a book that I read, and I think to understand the context, you'd have to read the book.
But you just said some parts were embellished, some parts were under embellished.
I'd really just rather not.
Okay. No, but slavery being embellished, that's so interesting. I don't know how you embellish it.
There are certain facts
There is
that we're not
no.
allowed to talk about.
Like what?
What?
I would love to. We're doing the taboo.
No,
we're mixing it up. It's red.
That
pill,
is one of
baby.
the most scholarly
world as it is.
discussed topics of
Taboo topics.
like ever.
I genuinely want to know how it was embellished.
Like, I don't think there's
Yeah.
something more scholarly
talk about?
agreed on
Come
and
on.
like
I mean, I could show you the video I was
discussed
quoting, but it's
than
just, I'd rather
slavery.
not get into this. So
I think there's a pretty solid
like a
consensus
blue
on
pill
what it
attitude to
was
me.
and what happened.
yeah, I just,
Obviously,
again,
it's
I
hard
was
to
kinda
know
hoping
some
this
things
was,
because a
like,
lot
good
of it was
faith
hidden,
interview.
but
Wait,
there's
what
been
is
a
bad
lot
faith?
of work to
I'm literally
figure it
showing
out.
you clips of you saying
Wait,
stuff.
how's
Yeah,
that bad
I
faith?
just,
She said that
yeah.
shit.
What about this interview has been bad faith?
I just think you're kind of trying to push an agenda, and you're not.
Real.
Yeah, I just think you're trying to
But
push.
that's a clip of
but
you
I-
saying that. You can disavow it. That'd be super easy to
from
say
a
I was
full
wrong.
interview where I'm quoting somebody. Like if you watch the full interview, I am quoting somebody.
It is
And now
bad.
you're
It's
trying to
really
pin me
bad.
down about a topic that I don't dive into.
Hold on.
So it's like,
Hold on, hold
like
on,
that's
hold on,
not
hold
the
on.
point of my channel.
Okay,
Like,
so
the point
it's
of my channel isn't.
I
Like,
know,
I'm
but you
quoting-
said it. How is that bad faith?
The founder.
Yeah,
of the guy-
context.
Thomas Sowell talks about how the guy that made Roots talked about how it was a myth for his people to live by.
Okay.
That's what the guy who made Roots said, Alex Haley.
Okay.
And I can't even talk about that on a podcast without being canceled by the internet.
Yeah, but mythology, you know, myth doesn't necessarily mean it's a lie,
Canceled,
right? Just 'cause it's-
canceled.
Mythology is like a culture,
Right, but
a
I'm
history.
saying that doesn't mean the way it's depicted in the movie was how it actually happened. And that's,
Oh my God, it's
that's
almost
what he
like-
was talking about on the book. But again,
So-
I was quoting a book.
It's
and
almost
you're
like
trying to,
movies are
pin me down on quoting a
dramatized.
book.
Like
me
historical
watch this
movies are
video. Let's see if I can do that.
dramatized.
Stuff too, because that's literally
Retelling of events.
The founder
That's so
or the guy
crazy.
who made Roots said,
What'd
"I
you
wanted
say?
a myth for my people to live by."
Yeah.
So they often, but that's what they do. Is they
So
embellish.
then you say, but here's what they do.
Like there's
And I'm
so
not trying to
many
say it wasn't
historically
horrible.
I'm not
based.
trying to say it wasn't horrible.
Right, but they want to make it like more horrible.
they wanna make it more horrible.
that they can control people.
So that they
What?
can control people.
Right, but
Nick
5
Fuentes
minutes,
agrees,
But
by the
wait,
way.
wait. Oh my God. 5 minutes before I say so.
Holy shit.
In his book.
No.
You say they do this to. Okay, so you disavow. Just disavow it then. That's easy. Just say I don't think slavery was embellished. I mean, that's super easy. That's like a layup. Do you agree? You know what I mean? It's like just
I
say you
think
don't think slavery was
I think
embellished.
there are certain facts that you're not allowed to talk about. I don't really want to talk about it today.
But that Roots was what is a myth?
I again, there are certain facts you're not allowed to talk about.
Oh my
I
god.
don't really feel like getting into it today.
Oh my
Thomas
god.
Sowell compared Barack Obama to Adolf Hitler. Do you like that analogy? That's the author you're quoting. Do you think that's a fair analogy?
That's
or
a
no?
quite one-sided way to write his whole work. But he wrote like 100 books.
Oh, I'm just asking you. Do you
Was
agree
it?
with
Well,
that
no,
statement?
no, 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 no.
Barack Obama.
What do you mean
is
one-sided?
comparable to Adolf
He
Hitler.
said it.
No,
Okay. See, it's not hard. It's not hard. That's awesome. That's easy to do. You also said George Washington was viewed from his slaves like a father. I guess that's part of what the Part of the myth, I guess.
What? I didn't realize
slave
that
owners were
her stuff went.
evil.
I didn't realize
Some
she was
were
this
fathers
bad.
like
I thought
George
she was just like
Washington.
anti-feminist cringy, but this is bad. I didn't know anything.
Did you say that?
I don't remember. I think like if someone's a great and powerful man in history to the point like they're talking about him hundreds of years later, he didn't have any kids, but like,
did he own slaves?
What?
Did he own slaves? George Washington.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, not a real man to me. I'm just saying.
No, it's actually interesting. He had a different, like he inherited his slaves, and it wasn't as simple as he could have just like let them go, because the debt that's incurred on them, like you can't just release them. And so his slaves actually, like he had a really good relationship with them, and they considered him like a dad.
What's your source for that?
That was from a Thomas Sowell book.
Thomas Sowell. So he's your guy.
Again?
Man.
No. What the hell?
Supporting segregation in public schools.
Yeah, he said so in the book.
The actual slave accounts, and I was surprised how many didn't say bad things about their owners after they were free. And it's not to say like slavery was a horrible institution, but I can't talk about that fact without getting canceled. I can't say, hey, these slaves had a good relationship with their owners
because
without
it's
getting
not
canceled.
true. Because
It's not true. That's definitely made
George
up.
Washington was not a father figure to his slave.
Okay, I know this is a bad place to pause, but I finished my drawing. This is my rendition of a high-value man. My fingernail fell off. You don't need to. I'm gonna hide that. Thank you for appreciating my drawing.
I think it was, you know, it's like if I have this conversation, I had months of people calling my employees slaves. Like that's what they call like
that's horrible. Yeah, I disagree. Horrible. That sucks.
Horrible.
But at the same time,
and like even the guy, and you know this because you watched the video of that guy. The reaction you just like you're acting oblivious, so I didn't know that, but you do know that because the reaction you just watched was my who insinuated that my employees were being colonized.
Oh, I didn't know
awesome.
that. I promise.
So
I just wanted to get your take.
My former employees were being
colonized. Yeah, channel isn't about slavery. That's like a fringe.
I know. I want to know about you.
But I'm asking, like, why are you bringing this up when that's not really what my channel is about?
It's like your channel isn't about slavery, but you said that.
This is interesting. I want to ask you about it. To be totally fair, you could just say, I don't think slavery was embellished.
Like you were
like
just
that's
talking
super
about,
easy. That's a layup for most people.
Yeah, it was not embellished.
I was quoting a book. That's the crazy part. I was quoting a book
that you
do you
agreed
agree
with
his statement, though.
What?
Do I think overall it was embellished? Some parts, sure.
There it is. Which parts?
Some parts.
No, please tell me which parts. Tell me.
I think that you can't. I think that certain slaves had good relationships with their owners. Not all, maybe not most, but I think some did.
And that just
and there are accounts of them saying this.
So some slaves had good relationships with their masters. Therefore, slavery was embellished.
You know how this is going to go for me. Like, I don't know why you're doing this. You know I can't have this conversation without them.
Because your opinions are bad.
Just do it. Just say what you want. You know what I mean?
Just say I'm being canceled by the woke mob.
Who is they? I don't know who's they. Just your haters or someone?
The left.
The left.
Do they have parentheses around the they? Just wondering.
Like, I mean, you even came in, like, you researched, like, my family.
Hi.
Like, that's weird.
How's that weird? It's all public. It's stuff you talked about. You literally talked about it.
Yeah, you said this live. You said it.
I didn't.
Like, you literally do no preparation and you talk about.
I didn't talk about if my mom was the president of like the company.
Where did we find that?
Find that on their website.
I just looked it up. I said I googled who are your parents, and it popped right up.
Is that
they're famous? They're relatively famous.
I didn't send a private
interviews on
investigator.
YouTube. There's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I didn't send a private investigator to your house. I just did a little bit of research.
Public information.
Like, let me bring facts about your parents to this interview.
Dude,
go ahead.
You were coming to talk to me for weeks.
Could have easily done that.
You're welcome.
But I thought we were talking about the issues, not like my family.
It is relevant that your mom is the president when you're talking about.
And then she said it was
fraud.
fraud.
Any of the backlash I got.
Well, who cares? You said it. Just own it.
No, I'm asking. You didn't know any of the backlash
I didn't.
I got.
I didn't know about it.
No idea. Even though you got that from a video that my ex-co-host made about me.
Right.
See, like, this is dishonest. It's not honest.
But what's the problem? You're getting backlash for something that you think.
But I'm saying, so you're like,
you're not.
Do you think it or not?
You brought your parents up when you were talking about hiring people, didn't you?
I think it's a bit
You talk about your parents all the time. You talk about how your dad is rich. You did a tour of his whole barn with the bowling alley and fucking recreational stuff in it. Like, why am I not allowed to talk about
like you're even just
now
said
she's
that
making
you
it
knew.
creepy.
Like, because you got that clip from
We're not here to protect your reputation.
Yeah, I mean, who cares? Let's say I didn't know about it to the extent that it was such an issue for you, but let's just say it was. I mean,
I do have to go though, because I have a show coming up.
Okay, let's just end on this note.
Mm-hmm.
Slavery was embellished because some masters had good relationships with their masters. Some slaves had good relationships with their masters.
All right.
But don't you see how easy it is to just say, I don't think it was embellished?
Oh my god, they always do this, so I have to go.
You guys act just like I've been preached.
Like,
you
Pearl.
act just like them.
Wait, Pearl,
Who?
I don't think it's a secret that some masters had good relationships with their slaves. I don't think that's a secret. There's been a whole
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me on. But I'm gonna go. Thank you.
George.
Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate you. Okay.
Have
a good night. Have a good night.
Whoa.
I just don't understand why you can't.
Jesus, I'm not debating, but
holy shit.
oh my god.
First of all, I genuinely did not know that it was such a
I'm like
sore point for her. I
uncomfortable.
mean, it is a crazy thing to say.
I mean, she gets backlash all the time for
I
all
think-
the things that she says. Why is that one so off limits?
I think I don't need to talk about the rest. I've watched way too long. I didn't think I'd watch the whole thing, but I don't know who Abba and Preach are either. I have no idea who the fuck that is. He really got on her level and like talked to her like that. It was crazy. That was wild. I didn't realize she was as bad as she was. I don't even know what to say, but that was definitely a video. I didn't realize how bad of a person she is, and she sucks.